Hello, everybody. Welcome to the group chat from Footy Accumulators and our friends at Betfair. Mr. Alan McInally and me, Will Perry, with you here. Al, I want to talk to you about Liverpool. What a win for Manchester City. What a win. What a performance. What a way to make a statement like that. Even if you take out Alisson's two mistakes, we'll still take the 2-1 win. Anyway, from a Liverpool point of view, Jurgen Klopp, and let me say firstly, I'm sure like you, I love Jurgen Klopp. I think he's absolutely brilliant as a guy, and I've had a lot to do with him, from when he first came in 5.5 years ago now. Seems like yesterday, doesn't it? But 5.5 years he's been in charge of Liverpool, and he's getting a little bit snappy at some journalists and questions and so on and so on and so on. So look, let me say this. These managers, and Pep has been the same in the past as well, you can't be a nice guy the whole time. There's a lot of interviews to do. So on a match day, these Premier League managers, we may just see the one on Match of the Day. These guys are doing 15, 20 interviews because I'm one of those annoying people at a ground sticking a microphone in their face. And, there is a sort of moment afterwards where they need a cooling down period, et cetera, et cetera. But Jurgen Klopp you can see it as the weeks go by, the questioning, he's picking up, whether it's Jeff Shreves. There was an Israeli reporter called Niv Dovrat the other day, which made the sort of Daily Mail. What do you make of the mask starting to slip with Jurgen in that sense?
Just a huge frustration, Will. A genuine huge frustration that his team, in my opinion, they look leggy. I'm not saying they're tired. They just look a little bit leggy, as though that huge spontaneity that they had as a team. And by the way, injuries naturally change things. And I said it to you before, in our group chat that we do, I said right at the very beginning, I said on Sky Sports, no Van Dijk, you can't underestimate how big a miss that's going to be if he is the best defender in the world. And you cannot play at the weekend against Manchester City. Henderson and Fabinho at centre-back. I'm sorry, you can't. And I tried to say it that, okay, he brings a young lad in from Schalke. I'm saying he hasn't seen him. I'm saying he's seen him on a tape. He's seen him on TV. In the flesh, I would doubt very much. Ben Davis, somebody's gone to see him. They've only paid $2 million because at 31st of January at midnight, he cost $10 million. But he would have rather, as in he was a free agent. How can you not play a centre-half if you're bringing him into the team? I don't get the Man City game. I just don't. But to get back to the Klopp scenario, he was undefeated. He was all conquering his team. And now they're just miles away from it, genuinely miles. And he must be so frustrated. But he knows in terms of injuries, the people he's called upon to play in different positions, and more importantly, not scoring the goals that his front three were scoring, he is really now getting a little irked by the same questions all the time. And he can't at the moment give you the answer he wants to give you because he knows they're just not the team they used to be 18 months ago.
Yeah, look, and I guess when you've had that level of success and you've lifted the Champions League and obviously been to Champions League finals with Dortmund as well, and then, them winning the Premier League and winning everything that you can, it's quite easy to come across as a bad loser because for the first time in 5.5 years, Klopp is being questioned. That's never happened before.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, he is being questioned. You're absolutely right. And he didn't actually, can't say he hit the ground running at Liverpool. It took him a little bit of time to build the team. And he should be given the same opportunities now with the injuries they've got to try and bring them back next year. And I think they will. I think he'll get it back. And it'll be really, really interesting to see the business Liverpool do in the summer. But he is being questioned more now as though he is such a good manager. Prove to us you're a good manager by lifting these players back to where we expect Liverpool to play. But there is one fundamental thing. Football players, after a huge success like that, when you get to the top, it's a strive. Staying at the top is much more difficult. And that's what they've been asked a question right now. And it's more a question of the players, I think, than necessarily Jurgen Klopp. But Jurgen's the man in front. He's the figurehead. He has to take the flak when they're not winning games. And that's why I think he's genuinely so frustrated, Will. And by the way, the game against City would have hurt badly. 2-1, 1-0, tight, 4-1, blown away, not happy.
Everton Spurs is a massive game, isn't it, on Wednesday night in the FA Cup? 5th round of the FA Cup, so a chance to get yourself into the quarterfinals. And it's massive because of this, Al. Look, 7th and 8th in the Premier League table, Everton and Tottenham, right? I think we can safely say they're not going to win the title, okay?
No.
So if they're not going to win the title, the next big challenge for clubs like that, with obviously a new stadium that they're already playing in Tottenham, and a new one coming for Everton, is Champions League money. That's crucial. And that would be a massive next step for Everton. So who's this a bigger game for? Obviously, there's pressure on Mourinho because they were in the title picture not that long ago. But would you, for example, rather finish in the top 4 or win the FA Cup if you're Ancelotti or Mourinho?
Right, let's go with the first one. Who's the bigger game for Spurs? Because of Mourinho, because they've fallen away, and because, apart from the weekend, was their first victory in 3 or 4. With Harry Kane back in the team, by the way, and I've said it, no Harry Kane, no top 4 for Spurs, by the way, forget it. I don't care how much they rely on Son, they're better together than they are apart. Everton, I think what Ancelotti's done is already changed the fortunes of Everton a little bit. You know, they're in a very good position. They've got players at the club that they might not have had, and I include the likes of Allen in the middle of the park, who's been missing. He's certainly helped Dominic Calvert-Lewin as a presumably big dunk. And I think he's made them a better. No, they're just better defensively, although they're still not quite. Do I think Everton will get to the top 4? I think it'll be difficult, really difficult. But the game in the Cup is much. I don't care that Spurs are in the final of the other competition against Manchester City. If Mourinho loses this and doesn't finish in the top 4, he's not going to be the manager of Spurs. He's not going to be the manager of Spurs because they'll be so unhappy, regardless of the Cup run. And if they do get beat by Everton, even though they're in a final, and I include, by the way, if they win the League Cup, that might just keep them in the job if they don't get to the top 4, but it'll be tight. I honestly think if they don't get to the top 4 Spurs, there'll be a major inquiry into the Spurs team. On the Everton side of things, top 4 is not the priority. Well, of course it is the priority to finish as high as you can. But I'm trying to say, well, if they don't make it, I still think they'll see this season as a step forward. I genuinely do. But the following season, I think high expectations will be of Everton even more, regardless of any cup run.
Yeah, I know it's been a long time for Everton since their last trophy, but obviously they're further down the ladder of expectancy, aren't they? Maybe not from their own fans, but from the general picture. And you look at Tottenham, their last bit of silverware was 2008, and that was a League Cup. I know they're in the League Cup final, but it's against the Manchester City team who are absolutely storming everything at the moment. So it's a big chance, isn't it, Al? It's a big chance, basically, for Tottenham to get into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, absolutely. But this game for Spurs, you and I know, having done football for so long and talking about it and trying to preempt what's going to happen, and there may be 10 changes for both teams. You know, it could be a completely different team. When you look at the Spurs team, it'll tell you all you know about how big this opportunity or the challenges for them to make sure A, they can win the game, or who cares about the FA Cup? We're going to try and basically say we need to finish top 4.
Okay, it is time for our midweek FA Cup 5th round acca. Who's going to get into the quarterfinal of the competition? Sam Rosbottom is here from Betfair. Sam, as always, I'm going to kick off with Manchester City. Look, we've got to get through. We've got to get an acca. We've got to get a midweeker. So Manchester City, Al, stop it. And Manchester City are going to beat Swansea. I'm telling you right now, it's done. It's signed, it's sealed, and it's going to be delivered. So City going into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. And my second one, Al, I'm going to pick Leicester. Leicester have been brilliant to watch. I genuinely think they're going to be top 4 this season under Brendan Rodgers. I think they're going to beat Brighton to put themselves into the last 8 as well, Mr. Rosbottom.
Yeah, two very interesting ties. I see you've gone for Manchester City again. They've won 14 times on the bounce in all competitions, so safe bet there, yeah.
They keep winning, I'll keep picking them.
No surprise to see that Manchester City are 2-9 to beat to beat Swansea. who are 15-1. The draw 11-2. City are the favourites to win the FA Cup. The 6-4 to go on and win it. Leicester are 20-23 to beat Brighton, who are 10-3. The draw there 13-5, and it's an interesting one because for Brendan Rodgers and Leicester. I think we mentioned this last time when it was an FA Cup midweek, but it's a great opportunity, isn't it, for Leicester to win some silverware with the FA Cup. They're currently 10-1 to win the FA Cup, and you think they get past Brighton, they get a favourable draw in the quarterfinals, and I'm sure those odds of 10-1 won't be around for long.
Yeah. And look, Al, I love FA Cup accas because, look, we've got to have a winner. We've got to have a winner. We can't have a draw. So who's the other two? Are you going to pick one for the championship? You've got some championship games.
Well, there's a really huge, there's a massive game tonight. Wednesday night we're doing, which is Reading and Brentford.
Yes.
Huge game. And I'm quite keen on Reading. I saw them a couple of times. I spoke about the ball with Michael Elise. I think he's a very good player. They've got some other very also attacking options. But in Brentford, they've been... they're swarming all over teams at the moment, Brentford. They genuinely are.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go... I would imagine Sam will give us a good place with Betfair as well. Brentford at Reading is my other one. And there's another one that honestly, if you give me a free bet, Sam, I wouldn't have any money on Spurs. I'm going to go Everton to win at Goodison against Spurs.
Sticking with the FA Cup first, then, really, I'd say that the tie of the round for me, Everton versus Spurs. Everton 7-4 to beat Mourinho's side, who are 17-10. The draw 11-5 in that one. Really interesting. Obviously, two teams that again could do with the silverware, particularly Spurs and Mourinho. They've brought him in, but Ancelotti equally. Everton want to win something too. Moving over to the Championship, then, like you say, massive game. Brentford obviously have the chance to go top again with a win there. Even money to beat Reading, who are 27-10. The draw 23-10 there, but Reading aren't that far off either. They're currently fourth at the minute. They could, get some points and close that gap.
Yeah. So overall, what's that looking like, Sam?
Yeah. So looking at City win, Leicester, Everton, and Brentford all to win. That's around 12-1.
I like that one. Do you know what? I can see that money in our bank accounts already. That one.
I can.
Right, boys, let's talk Bournemouth. Sam Rosbottom from Betfair is here. Look, Bournemouth's a really interesting one, I think, Sam and Al, because Harry Redknapp at the moment, who we know lives locally, doesn't he? He lives in Sandbanks, just around the corner from the Vitality Stadium. He's helping Jonathan Woodgate out. Jonathan Woodgate sort of took over after Jason Tyndall left, and they got a good win, didn't they? They beat Birmingham 3-2 on Woodgate's first game in charge. But you've obviously got John Terry's name in the frame. I heard David Wagner, the former Huddersfield Schalke boss, Frank Lampard, who I think might have ruled himself out, but he's certainly in the mix for betting wise. Harry Redknapp himself, could he take it on full time? Would he want to do that full time in the Championship? I'll say no to that one. Tony Pulis is another name as well. But look, it would be, wouldn't it, for John Terry, the perfect first job. When you look at what Lampard's was at Derby, maybe Frank wouldn't want to drop back into the Championship, but for JT to build a team 6 in the Championship table, no immediate pressure to get them up straight away, and it would be a good opportunity for him, wouldn't it, Al?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you couldn't argue with your points you made, Will, genuinely. And obviously, John's been assistant with Dean Smith at Villa for a couple of years. He's been relatively successful. Villa having a good season. And John's obviously working with the likes of Ezra Konza, who is my favourite defender at Aston Villa. And he's going to be a really good young football player. He hasn't even begun to develop his strength yet. So I think John's been a really big part of that. It's maybe time for John to go. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I agree with you also that I think Frank wouldn't take the Bournemouth job. And I don't see Harry taking the job. I can see Harry being mentory still, regardless of who comes in, and there may be a place for Harry at Brentford. I've not spoke to H. I normally speak to Harry bits and pieces and just to chew the fat, really. There's one other name I heard, and I was like, oh yeah, Nigel Pearson.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought, with the Watford scenario, then he went to Belgium, I think he went to, and came back and stuff. And I thought, I don't think Big Nigel's stock has dropped in any form. So, I mean, I've thrown a few to Sam there. I don't know what prices they are, and I don't know who's favourite, but I would imagine that John Terry would be really, really interested in taking the Bournemouth job.
Yeah,
for sure.
and look, Sam, I guess it's what kind of club they're coming into, because there obviously is that desire to get back into the Premier League. What are the Bournemouth odds to finish in the playoffs, to finish in the top 2, etc., etc.?
Yeah, so obviously, they had that stinking run, didn't they? And a lot of, they had that good win with Woodgate beating Birmingham 3-2. There's a little bit of hope there that, if it is to be Woodgate or someone else who comes in, there is going to be an impact. And looking at them to win the championship now, it's looking very difficult, very, very unlikely. They're 25-1 to win that. However, they are favourites to make the playoffs. They're currently 16-5 to make the playoffs. A top 2 finish is 7-1. So not out of the realms of possibility there that they could, get automatic if they do get someone in who is going to give them that instant impact. You mentioned Harry Redknapp there. I think he's going to be far too busy with his horse, Shake 'em Up Harry, for the Betfair Hurdle this weekend at Newbury, to be bothering
that's
with
that's why I was going to speak to him, to be honest. He's got a chat. You'll be like, what about the Bournemouth job? I'm like, who cares? Your horse going to win.
Yeah, like I said, favourites to make the playoffs. And it's, again, I think it just comes down to who they get in and if they're going to have that instant impact.
And it will be fascinating because they haven't actually gone outside of the Bournemouth family since 2008. Obviously, Eddie Howe's been there for a long time. They've had Lee Bradbury. They've had Jason Tindall more recently. But, Jimmy Quinn was the last Bournemouth manager. The last time they sort of looked outside of that, like I said, that Bournemouth bubble. Very quickly, Al, give us a name. You're the chairman. Bournemouth, are you going to get in? JT or not?
No, Nigel Pearson for me. I'm pretty... Yeah, Nigel Pearson, I think, would be a really, really good appointment for Bournemouth. I really do. And I think that would give them the best chance to at least finish the playoffs.
Right, Al, enjoyed that. Are we going to see any shocks in the FA Cup? It's weird, isn't it, having these games midweek in the FA Cup? Are Barnsley going to beat Chelsea? Are Swansea going to beat Manchester City?
Probably not. I watched Barnsley a couple of times, actually, and they were pretty good. I mean, they like get the ball down and they play. The only thing is, I think they'll be restricted in terms of chances. But no, would we say Everton would be a shock if they beat Spurs? Probably, maybe not. I don't know. Listen, there's always something that we go, no, that never happened. Yeah. So the answer might be then, yes, well, it'll be interesting. You give me your shock. I'll tell you what would be a shock. Sorry. It'd be a shock if we were Wednesday accumulator right.
I was about to say that. Well, that'll be the two shocks. If we get an acca right and a mini shock, let's call it, with Bristol City winning at Sheffield United. That's my tip.
Yeah, exactly. Burnley and Bournemouth, would that be a shock? Man United, West Ham, you beat Man United. That's Tuesday night.
West Ham would be, wouldn't it? Moyes back at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
that would be a big one, wouldn't it? Would be a big one.
Listen, there's a couple of imponderables maybe that people can get their head round when they see the teams coming out, but there'll always be a shock in the FA Cup. There always has been, there always will be.
You know Moisey well. He's going to be fired up for that, isn't he? Because look, we all know, and he knows he didn't get enough time at Old Trafford, and he's going to be going there, especially the form that West Ham are in. They'll be thinking they can get something, won't they?
You better believe it, by the way. If there's think of how tightly, and I mean think really close to how tightly you can get an elastic band round your finger, and I mean tight. That's what the West Ham players are going to be like, and Moisey's going to let it go, and they're going to go. It'll be interesting, really interesting, because Moisey will definitely want to win, and of course Manchester United will as well. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's turned that boat around. They're maybe just a little bit off the pace just now with a couple of draws, etc. And even with Everton scoring late on against them, that'll have hurt them and make it 3-3, just obviously in the title race. But the cup competition is always something Man United have been good in. But I will be watching that game intently.
Yes, good cup tie that. Enjoy the FA Cup, guys, and we'll see you next week.